I used to think that, would read about these intentions to make for your sitting practice. I'm doing this to benefit all sentient beings, for example, is one of the traditional ones. And it took me a while to reframe that one, to be more like this. May I settle down just a little bit? May I settle down just a little bit? Just downshift a little bit here, soften a little bit. Because if I do that, all beings who I come into contact with will benefit from that. And it was so helpful for me to just simplify my intention, and I still carry that one forward,
One of the hardest things I think for us to offer is kindness to ourselves. So this idea of easy does it and be kind, and it's counterintuitive and it's uncomfortable. But be kind anyway. Be kind anyway.
Yeah, we certainly see it as one of the really good movements that we're finally seeing, and I think teachers are finally seeing that we need more self-compassion in the West, and we see that now as a really important thread in the practice that needs to be there really as soon as possible. As soon as possible. It took me a long time to see how hard I was being on myself, even in meditation practice. And so Susan and I will often say, like when parents will want their children not to have to struggle and suffer as much as they did. And in our teaching, we certainly part of our intention is that people will not have to struggle as much in their meditation practice as much as we did early on.
Right.
And so it's really oriented toward trying to introduce some pieces that took us like 20 years to discover.
Right.
But they aren't that complicated. But we're such complicated beings that we can overlook some really simple moves in meditation, to really give ourselves a break, to really give ourselves permission to easy do it, And so we emphasize that a lot,
Yeah, I think it's useful to point out that we had different struggles at the beginning.
Oh yeah.
And I think for example, the body was not talked about a lot back then. Like how do you set up the posture? How do you set up the physical posture? So we're Westerners. We're not taught to sit cross-legged. That's not what we do. But we go in the hall and we all want to be good students, and so we sit cross-legged, and we're crippled by the time we get up. At least I was on my first few long retreats. It was really, really bad. And I realized if I kept going the way I was going, I really would never be able to practice sitting in this posture for the rest of my life. I really would be crippled by my midlife. And so I had to do things differently. And it took a lot to begin to trust myself, to be able to explore how to sit well, how to actually inhabit the form, and then to be able to understand, that maybe we Westerners need to have a few more handholds than just those few sparse instructions. And I began to really consider how to do that, so that there's some clarity about how we're setting it up, so that I'm not doing harm by how I sit, by actually how I sit. And that by how I sit, I'm not interfering with how I meditate, because the mind isn't struggling with my shoulder blades are burning, or my knee is going to pop out because it's in so much pain. right? And that, we want to consider that we come in to a retreat carrying a lot of stress, physically, mentally, emotionally, body, heart, mind. They're all affected. And we want to consider that. Consider where we are when we first begin.